Hi, how are you doing? It's time for another weekly reading vlog. We're in the last stretch of the Bookoplathon. Can you believe it? Like, September's almost over. I can't fathom it. This month passed so quickly. But I have some ambitious reading plans for this week. I hope to read a lot more before the week is over, the month is over. But I hope the board will be in my favor, so I'll be able to read what I want to read. But currently, I am supposed to start The Tyrant's Tomb, but before I went, I rolled for this one in my last vlog because I thought I was going to start this last vlog. Didn't end up happening, but now this is finally happening. I'm very excited about this book 4 in the Trials of Apollo series, which I have been slowly making my way through over the past couple of months, but I am very excited to hopefully finally be able to finish it soon. And yeah, I'm excited to give this a read. But first, I gotta tell you about this book I finished, or this novella I finished. That's No One Moved by Ellie Hazelwood. It was actually weird because I finished this before I filmed my last vlog update, but because I finished it, you know, this week and not last week, I had to pretend that I hadn't finished it yet so that I could finally talk to you about what I think of this book right now. And that is a 4 out of 5 stars. I really enjoyed this one. This one follows, I already forgot her name, Mara, who recently her mentor passed away, and she received inherited this house, except it's like half of the house because her mentor owned half of the house, and then the mentor's cousin owned the other half of the house. So Mara ended up inherited like her mentor's half of this house. So she arrives at this house very excited to live in it, have this part of her mentor still with her, and then she finds out that the cousin is so used to living on his own because the mentor didn't live in his house that he is not very receptive to Mara moving in, and they kind of get off on the one foot, and it's this hate to love kind of situation. And I really like this. Like I said, it's a 4 out of 5 stars. That's perfect because I feel like I wanted just like a little bit more from certain parts, because this is a novella and I feel like if it was a little bit longer it could have been a 5 stars, but like it definitely wasn't bad. It just, you know, I don't know, I really like this. I think what I wanted was a little bit more character development and more like character depth, because I feel like now we were very on the surface level with these characters. But I really loved the dynamic between these two characters and how their romance ended up playing out. I like generally just got like butterflies while reading certain scenes because yes. And I'm very excited to read the other 2 novellas by Ellie Hazelwood. Hi, it is Thursday. I'm sorry for not vlogging in a while, I apologize, but here I am. I am about to go to dinner with my grandparents and my mom later today, so I had to get all dressed up. It's nothing fancy, but this is the fit check. How are you doing? So let's talk, because I haven't talked in a while. On Monday, I ended up starting and finishing Stuck With You by Ellie Hazelwood, which is the second novella in the series. I'm a bit out of breath, I'm sorry. This one is about this girl who 3 weeks before the start of this novella had this like very romantic 24 hours with this guy, and then afterwards she finds out something and he breaks her heart, and now beginning of the novel they are stuck in an elevator together. And you know, it's a not really a second chance romance, but it is them kind of like working things out while being stuck in the elevator, you know. It is dual timeline where we get them in the elevator, and then like also every other chapter we are in like the 3 weeks ago timeline, seeing how they met and like those romantic 24 hours. And yeah, I ended up giving this 4 out of 5 stars because even though I in some ways like this more than No One Move, I also had like one glaring issue with this novella, so I felt weird giving it as a 5 star, and No One Move is definitely a 4 star for me. But this one, I really loved the tension between the 2 characters. I feel like they just instantly had this chemistry together, and I really loved seeing that not really like develop throughout this book, because it takes place in like 2 like day increments, not necessarily over like a longer period of time, but still there was like some kind of development to it as they get to know each other better, as they're like solving their issues and stuff like that. And I really liked seeing that all develop in this novella. I really also like the 2 characters, and I had fun reading this. Like I definitely like had butterflies in my stomach doing certain scenes in this novella just because it was just so well written. But the whole entire like plot of this just hinges on like this one big miscommunication. It bothered me just a little bit too much, so therefore I docked a star. But for the rest, I have not read anything these past couple of days, which is really bad because I had huge plans for this week to like finish off Bookoplathon strong, and I haven't read in 2 days, and then I haven't read yet today either. But what my original plan was to do kind of like a 48-hour readathon over these 2 days as the last days of the month to like really end strong. But like I said, I'm having dinner with my mom and my grandparents. I don't know how long that's gonna take, so that's kind of like ruined my ID, and also just like the fact that I haven't read anything today yet, and it's already pretty far into the day because I kind of like already shot the ID before I read it on. But I am kind of hoping to do like a 24 readathon tomorrow and just read as much as I can. I will be reading more today as well, hopefully. Hi, it is the evening and I'm here with a reading update. I was meant to update you a little bit earlier, but I wanted to update you when I finished the book, and then I finished my book, and then I got called down for dinner, and then afternoon I always stayed downstairs with my mom, so I couldn't film then. So now we have arrived back here and I can finally update you. I finished Hook, Line and Sinker by Tessa Bailey today. Yay! Honestly, 5 stars. I loved her so much. So in this book we follow Hannah, who is the younger sister of Piper, who's the star of the first book, and she is a PA who's hopelessly in love with her boss, but also hopelessly in love is not the right word. She has a crush on her boss, and she wants to do more than just be a PA on a movie set. She wants to do like soundtrack work. So it's the beginning of the book. They are looking for like a new location for the movie she's currently working on is gonna be shot at, and as an attempt of kind of like starting to become more than just a PA, she suggests going to, I forgot the name of the town, like the small town that the first book takes place in, because it's perfect for the movie, but also so that she can visit her sister again, which she hasn't been able to see in a while. The director like immediately loves the idea, so they go do that, and there she has to stay with Fox, who is the best friend of Brendan, who is the protagonist of the other book, who is kind of known to be a player as well. He's not very serious with the ladies, so he has taken it upon himself to just treat Hannah as a friend and nothing more, despite what his feelings might tell him, because he is starting to develop feelings for her. And yeah, it's a friends to lovers romance with Fox kind of like being in love with Hannah from like the very beginning, but there's still like that dynamic that I got there, and I really like that. I do usually with like these romance series, you don't necessarily have to read them in order, but I would recommend that for the series just because there's a lot of build up for this couple in the first book. You see them meet each other and like starting to become friends and stuff like that, and I feel like that's definitely a added bonus to this book. But I love this so much, and so much more than I was expecting, because when I first read It Happened Summer, when I started it, I wasn't really a big fan of Hannah, and as I kept reading, like she grew on me, but I didn't love her character. And then Fox we also didn't really get a lot of, but we did get like little snippets of them interacting. Like I said, it does build the foundation for the relationship a little bit in the book, and that was some of the cutest shit I've ever read. And it was just them being friends and getting to know each other. So I was so hyped to read this book, and it did not let me down. I really loved the personal journeys both Hannah and Fox went through. Both kind of center around like growing more confident in themselves, but they're very different, but like that's kind of like the main theme in both of those stories there. But I really loved how that was done, and I liked how they both were the other person's like biggest supporter and like really were like, you know, you're gonna get this done, like you have to believe in yourself because I believe in you and stuff like that. And it was just some cute shit. I really liked how the relationship was developed throughout this book. There's some hints of jealousy in there as well that are just perfectly done, because honestly I like jealousy in my books, but like it can very easily become too much and then it's just possessive and gross and I don't like it. But this one just had like the right sprinkle of it. And I really loved how it all like ended up, and like towards the ending I even like cried, like I was sobbing because I felt so bad for these characters and like stuff that they were going through, and it was just it was really good. I also have started my next book, which is Spells for Forgetting by Adrienne Yarn. This one I'm currently reading, it's a adult fantasy technically, but I have heard that it leans more mystery than fantasy, so know that going into this. I am definitely getting more of a mystery vibe than a fantasy vibe so far, but I'm 30% of the way through. And in this one we follow two perspectives so far. One is August, who like 14 years before the start of the novel, this girl like suspiciously died, and he was like best friends with her together, like they were like a little friend group, he was in it, and for some reason, I'm not exactly sure why, but for some reason a lot of people like the small town that they live in think that he did it. And then we also follow Emily, I believe her name is, who was August's girlfriend, also really close to this girl that passed away, and she's one of the only people who doesn't believe that August did it, but he kind of like he couldn't be proven guilty, so like he was let go, and then he and his mom like moved away very far because, you know, they're kind of under scrutiny because the whole time believed he did it. And now his mom has passed away and he has kind of like gone back to this town to like be able to bury her in this place that they grew up in, you know. And I'm assuming more is gonna come into play, but right now that's kind of like the story going on. I think they're gonna like solve the murder of Lucy. I'm not entirely sure, but that's kind of my guess of where we're gonna go, because like I said, it very much feels like a mystery, and I've been told that it's more mystery than fantasy. But first I am actually gonna focus my attention on The Tyrant's Doom, because this is like an actual book that counts towards Bookoplathon, so I feel like I should read it. I'm 18 pages into this, so that's like a chapter, so I definitely need to get on with this, and I'm just gonna binge this, and then after I finish this I will continue with Spells for Forgetting. But it's just easier to read a ebook while I'm downstairs and like doing other stuff than like a physical book, so that's what's going on. Monday evening. I could have updated you earlier, I didn't do it, I apologize. But let's talk. I last talked to you, I was still in the middle of my 24 readathon. Well, not in the middle, I was towards the end, and I had finished Hook, Line and Sinker, and I was 30% of the way through Spells for Forgetting. I'm still that far in, but I did not finish. I was reading this, I got to page 300, which means I have just a little bit over 100 pages left of this book. I was like a little like falling asleep like above this, like I kept like nodding off, so I was just like, okay, that's it for today. So that's how far I got, but I am really liking this. I am kind of sad that I did not finish this in this vlog, just because it would have been like better to keep things cohesive. But I'm really liking this one. This is the fourth book, yes, the fourth book in the Trials of Apollo series, which is a spin-off series of the Percy Jackson and Heroes of Olympus series. And even though I can go in depth about this plot, all I can say is that this series follows Apollo, who was sent down to Earth in a mortal body by Zeus as punishments for the events of Heroes of Olympus. This is the fourth book. Shit is off the rails, and I'm liking it. I think this is like, I don't know how to explain this, but I really liked the first one, and the second one was a little bit like filler for me. The third one I again really liked, and this one is like falling into that filler bit a little bit for me so far. Maybe this ending might do something like really wild that convinces me that this was like brilliant, but right now I kind of just feel a little bit like okay about it. Like I'm not hating it, I'm having such a fun time with it, but it's very drawn out. I feel like this could have been a bit more concise. And then on Sunday, I actually did read, and I read and finished Below Zero by Ali Hazelwood. My whole this came in. So that's one thing that's consistent throughout this vlog. I read an entire series in this vlog. Wow, that's an accomplishment. I don't think I've ever done that in like one series and like one vlog. But they're novellas. Like I shouldn't pat myself on the back too much. But still, this is the third and last novella in this feminist novella series by Ali Hazelwood, which follows these three friends and their romances. This one in particular follows our protagonist, whose name I've already forgotten, which is really, really bad because I remember the other two. I can't for the life of me remember my character's name for this one. But she works at NASA, and she is in Norway. Not on they reference the North Pole a couple of times, like they are in the North Pole, but like they're actually in Norway, and I don't know enough about geography to like know if there's a difference between it. But anyway, so she's like on a mission in Norway, and she gets up ending stuck in like this hole, I guess, but like it's like this big storm, and like her co-worker comes to kind of like rescue her, but like they have kind of like this kind of hate to love kind of situation going on where they had some sexual tension, but like also they don't like each other, so it's a big deal. And I give this 2 to 5 stars. I wasn't a big fan of this one, which was such a disappointment because as you've been watching this vlog, you know I really liked the other 2 books in the series. Like I really loved them. I thought they were a lot of fun. Though they weren't like 5-star reads, I still had a blast reading them. But this one just did not work for me. Yeah, I did not like this one, mainly because I did not really connect with the main character. I thought she was like very self-righteous and judgmental and a little bit hypocritical at points, and also just like bends what the facts to what fits her. And I feel like the love interest was fine. Like I did not really have a personality, and I also just didn't really think they had any chemistry together. I do think there were some fun and cute moments throughout it. I didn't hate it. I'm not heartless, but I didn't. This one did not work for me. Yeah, that was everything for today. I hope you enjoyed, and I'll just shut up because this update has been way too long.